Our adventures in RuneScape don't need nostalgia, but they certainly can benefit from it. We humans seek nostalgia to reduce stress and put our minds at ease. You could say it's the most natural sleeping pill we have. This video is a relaxing journey through the cities of Draynor. If you are still in the middle of your daily grind, save the video for later. If you are already done, relax and enjoy. You arrive in Lumbridge with nothing but the clothes on your back and a bronze sword on your hip. The screen fades in and suddenly the world feels enormous. To the north, fields of goblins. To the west, a winding path towards Draynor. And in the center, towering above it all, the castle, Lumbridge Castle. With its red-tiled roof and ivy-covered walls, it was the first landmark that felt like home. You might remember your first walk through the courtyard, talking to Hans, chasing away imps, climbing staircases just to see where they led. The kitchen on the ground floor where the cook begged you to make a cake. A quest you never forgot because it was your first. Just outside the castle walls, the world bustled with life. Players lighting lines of fires, others training combat on the goblins, a cluster of people fishing in the nearby river, chatting idly in public chat, asking questions, answering them, or just showing off their new iron armor. And then, the cows. Rows and rows of players slaying them for hides and early combat experience. The moose echoing across the plains, the gate creaking open and shut as players came and went. Lumbridge was safe, simple and social. No teleports, no shortcuts, just a town where everyone once began, where everyone once returned when they died. A respawn point that became a symbol of resilience. And a place where friendships quietly formed. Even now, when you think of RuneScape, chances are you're picturing Lumbridge, its peaceful music, its stone bridges, the sense that something big was just around the corner, and all you had to do was walk toward it. The road from Lumbridge winds gently northward, through fields and farmland, past goblin patrols and the first whispers of adventure. And then, the gates of Varrock come into view, tall, imposing and always busy. Varrock was RuneScape's great crossroads, a city where everything seemed to happen at once. It was here that new adventurers arrived, wide-eyed and seasoned players stood in armor that gleamed in the sunlight. The city pulsed with life. In the West Bank, dozens of players crowded together, spamming trade offers, hawking rune scimitars, lobsters, and full sets of rune. The chat box lit up with all caps, arrows, misspellings. It was noisy, but it felt alive. And then there was the Grand Exchange. Though it didn't exist in the earliest days, its arrival in 2007 transformed RuneScape forever. No longer did you have to shout for trades or rely on obscure forums. You could simply walk into the grand circle of marble and gold, place an offer and wait. Some saw it as the end of an era, but even they couldn't deny its beauty. Before the Grand Exchange, trade happened in places like Falador Park or outside Varrock's castle. Players lined up in makeshift markets, exchanging goods through trust and fast fingers. It was chaotic but also personal. Varrock's allies held secrets, The palace held quests. The eastern streets hid the entrance to the Champions Guild, a dream destination for many. Only those with at least 32 quest points could enter, an achievement that meant very much at the time. The city was also where many first encountered the darker side of Gielinor, the apothecary with his strange brews, the demon hidden beneath the castle in Demon Slayer, the cold lurking in the temple of Zamorak. But for all its corners and conflicts, Varrock never felt truly dangerous. It was a city of progress, a place where you bought your first mithril armor, where you completed your first real quest line, where you felt for the first time like a real adventurer. It was loud, it was crowded, but it was also home. Southwest of Lumbridge, the landscapes begins to shift. The air grows still, the path narrows, and before long you find yourself in Draynor village, a town wrapped in shadow and whispers. Draynor was quiet, suspiciously so. Its crooked buildings and twisted roads made it feel different from anywhere else. The willow trees near the bank swayed gently, their long leaves brushing against still water, while players lined the shoreline with their axes leveling woodcutting in peaceful silence. And yet, danger lurked just around the corner. To the north sat Draynor Manor, its iron gates always slightly ajar. Inside, creaking floorboards, flickering candles, and ghosts that moved when you weren't looking. It was the first place for many players where they truly felt fear, not because of the challenge, but because of the atmosphere. RuneScape's charm was often whimsical, but Draynor showed it could be haunting too. In the village itself, players often gathered near the bank and stalls. Thieves practiced their trade, picking pockets and dodging guards. The wise came here for early quests, the brave for a brush with the supernatural. Everyone came eventually. Further south and west, the road opened into Port Sarim, a salty sea-swept harbor town. Here, sailors muttered to themselves, and ships bobbed gently at the docks. There was always a sense of motion, of transition. You came here not to stay, but to go. To Karamja, to Entrana, to Krondor. It was a gateway to the unknown. But even if you never left, Port Sarim had its own humble identity. The fishing shop, the jail, where restless spirits and pirates served their time, the music of the port, a cheerful little tune, was a welcome contrast to Draynor's gloom. It reminded you that RuneScape, like life, could change in a single screen walk. These places, Draynor and Port Sarim, were not grand, but they were essential. They were the quiet spaces between great cities and quests, the edges of adventure, and they always welcomed you back. Travel westward from Draynor and the plains begin to rise. Soon, white stone walls rise into view. Falador, the city of order, a city of knights, gardens and clean symmetry. Falador felt different. It wasn't the chaos of Varrock, nor the warmth of Lumbridge. It was structured, balanced and secure. the kind of place where the guards wore shining armor and patrolled with pride. Home to the White Knights, protectors of Ascania, the castle stood tall at the city center, its battlements neat, its halls grand. Many first arrived in Falador while chasing quests. Others came to mine in the dwarven mines below, pickaxe in hand, lanterns flickering in the dark. Those lower levels beneath the city were a world unto themselves, swarming with miners, rocks clinking and inventory slowly filling with ore. Just east of the city walls, the party room invited moments of surprise. Balloons fell, treasures dropped, and players gathered for celebrations, giveaways, and the occasional chaotic prank. It was one of the rare places in RuneScape where joy had no purpose, just pure, spontaneous fun. The city's north end was home to one of RuneScape's most peaceful spots, the park. Falador Park, with its fountains, hedges, and wandering NPCs, was a popular meeting place long before the Grand Exchange. Merchants once stood here, calling out their wares. Players sat together in silent camaraderie, watching trade offers scroll past like wind through leaves. It was calm, green, and timeless. And then there were the events that Falador could never forget. The massacre, an infamous glitch in 2006, turned the streets red as a single player, Duriel 321, unleashed unexpected violence outside of PvP zones. For those who witnessed it, it was a day of shock. For those who heard about it, it became a legend. And today, a memorial stands in Falador Park, a quiet nod to a chaotic memory. Despite it all, Falador remains serene. The soft flutes and strings of its background music, the slow-moving guards, the symmetry of its walls. It was the first white city of RuneScape, pristine and proud, and every time you entered through its gates, you felt like you were stepping into someplace noble. To the east of Lumbridge, the grass gives way to sand. The air grows warmer, the palette shifts from green to gold, and there, across the familiar tollgate, lies Kharid. For many, this was the first real test of RuneScape economics. Do you pay the 10 coins, or do you walk the long way around? That tollgate became iconic. A silent guardian between the comfort of Mr. Lin and the mystery of the desert. Once inside, Kharid welcomed you, tight allies and a buzzing market with life. Silk merchants, gem traders and tanneries. Every corner offered something new, and yet it never felt rushed. The city moved at a desert pace, slow, patient and enduring. The soundscape shifted here. Gone were the medieval flutes and violins of Lumbridge. In their place, gentle percussion, soft wind, a melody that danced like heat rising off stone. And Kharid had its own tempo. Many came here for crafting, smelting bars in the furnace, shaping gear in the open-air smithy. Others came for the dual arena, a coliseum of sand and pride, where friendships were tested and coins were won or lost in an instant. Cheers and silence lived side by side here. And just beyond the city, the desert stretched outward, Shantai Pass with its lone guard and his endless questioning marked the boundary between the known and unknown. To pass meant preparation, water skins, desert robes, and a willingness to explore what lay beyond. But even for those who stayed in Kharid, the city left its mark. It felt older, wiser, like it had seen adventurers come and go for generations and knew that most would return eventually. Because in RuneScape, even the heat of the desert could feel like home. Heading west past mountain passes and twilight forests lies one of the most tranquil corners of Gielinor, Catherby. A peaceful coastal village where the waves kiss the shore and the rhythm of life slows to a gentle sway. Catherby wasn't flashy, it wasn't the center of any kingdom, but it had something more important: calm. Players came here to fish, and not just to fish, but to be a fisherman. Rows of adventurers stood quietly by the beach, casting lines into the sea, occasionally glancing at their inventories, the sound of gulls and the splash of surf in their ears. Sharks, lobsters, swordfish, it didn't matter. What mattered was the quiet. The bank was just steps away. The trees swayed overhead, and in the distance, Camelot Castle stood tall, its spires catching the morning sun. Camelot itself was an odd place, both regal and strangely empty. A teleport destination more than a city, a landmark more than a destination. But it had a certain magic to it, quite literally. The teleport spell shimmered in bright blue light, casting players onto the edge of the kingdom in an instant. Nearby, white wolves prowled the mountain pass. Ardougne beckoned from the west. But for a while, just for a while, players stayed in Catherby. They cooked, they fished, they stood still and watched the sea. There was a sense, in Catherby, that you didn't need to achieve anything. You didn't need to chase levels or fight bosses. You could simply exist. And for many of us, it became our digital retreat. A moment of stillness in an otherwise busy world. A fishing pole in hand, a bank just steps away, and the sound of the ocean always waiting. Traveling west from the quiet shores of Catherby, the path grows more worn. The music shifts slightly darker, slightly busier, and before long, stone walls rise again, enclosing one of the most intriguing cities of RuneScape, Ardougne. Split in two by a river and by history, Ardougne was a city of contrast. East Ardougne buzzed with life, market stalls bursting with fruit, silk and spices. Players scurried between pickpocketing and banking, thieving levels slowly ticking upward as guards gave chase and rogues' luck was tested. There was something thrilling about it. Ardougne was RuneScape's first real city of shadows. It didn't shine like Falador, it didn't bustle like Varrock, it whispered. West Ardougne told a different story, a tale of secrets and decay. Locked behind tall gates and guarded walls, it felt like a city under siege. Few went there early. Those who did never forgot the eerie silence, the sicked citizens, and the sense that something had gone terribly wrong. Ardougne was also home to cats. For many players, it was here they raised the first one, watching it follow them through cobblestone streets, feeding it sardines, watching it grow. It was a quiet companionship in a game filled with combat and quests. And when you traded in your full-grown cat for death runes, you did so with a small, secret pang of guilt. There were quests here, of course, plots of political intrigue, crimes and conspiracies. The city had a darker undercurrent than most, a flavor of mystery that made you linger longer. You explored not just because of the task, but because the world felt deeper here. And yet, despite its grey tones and guarded allies, Ardougne still welcomed you. The docks led to faraway places, the stalls welcomed every thief, and the music, slightly somber, slightly sweet, followed you wherever you went. In Ardougne, a greater story was unfolding, one you could walk through slowly, in your own time. There's a moment the first time you push through the little shed into the lost city of Zanaris when everything changes. The screen goes dark, the air hums with magic, and suddenly you're somewhere else entirely. Zanaris doesn't feel like the rest of RuneScape, it feels enchanted. Mushrooms glow softly, trees twist into shape that seems half alive. Fairies drift across the sky, their wings leaving trails of light. The music here is quiet, shimmering, more a whisper than a song. Zanaris was a reward, not just for completing a quest, but for believing in something hidden. You found a leprechaun, you carved a staff, you faced monsters on Entrana, and in doing so, you unlocked a world inside a world. Here, the rules bent a little. A cow could be a banker, a fairy queen could be in hiding, and teleportation wasn't limited to spells. It could be done with a simple ring, if you knew the code. The fairy ring network was like a secret language. Each combination opened a portal, each portal a path to somewhere mysterious. It made the world feel full of hidden threads, always waiting to be pulled. In Zanaris, players didn't rush. They wandered, they explored, they lingered by the fountain. They read the cryptic signs, they listened to the buzz of insect wings or watched other players vanish through portals. And always that sense of magic remained. Zanaris was not a hub, it was not a capital, it was a dream, a reminder that beneath the combat and the coin, RuneScape was a fantasy world, gentle, strange and full of wonder.